Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order for November 7th, 2022. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right the spirit on spit.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Greg is accessing the meeting remotely via Zoom. I can only assume he has the flag at home with him.
Over there.
Are we signing this or are we waiting on it?
I'd like to wait on it. Yeah, take it over to John, maybe the clerk. John, we have a bill from Pace. If you could prepare a report on where we stand with all that, and then we'll sign off on that bill. Okay,
I have to see what it's for.
exactly, and then to consult with Bob.
Yep.
Like, oh, thank
Do
you.
that.
All right. All right, minutes.
None.
They were all caught up, or you just don't have them done?
Just had a couple of them.
Okay. I note that at the senior center committee meeting this morning, they were looking for the minutes of the date they were appointed, because they had our
Gotcha.
mission statement there,
Okay,
and they'd like to see something in writing when you have it done.
for the, not the building committee, for the board or the building committee?
The senior center building committee, when we appointed them, we're
Oh,
looking for those
fine.
minutes.
Those have gone out, but they've got
Okay.
the minutes though.
They've watched the video, they couldn't find the minutes.
Gotcha.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, first thing on the thing. Hi,
How are you?
welcome back. Different room. So, Shelley, wander on up and grab that chair over there.
Such a.
Right.
Shelley.
On October 15th, Lorena texted me. She was at the airport and she sent me 2 Ring videos. She can't be here since she's at work. 2 Ring videos of Lindsay's and Chad's dog in her backyard again. And I called Lindsay, and then Lindsay called the kids. Yeah, you at work? And the kids said, yeah, that he was in the driveway and they had gotten him in.
Okay. Do we have the minutes from the last meeting?
In a moment.
Do we know how the dogs got out?
Yeah, he chased it after a squirrel, went through the fence, so that's how they get back out of the fence, because he goes under the Triple K farm. And then he comes out and he got back in through that fence, and he comes, circles around and comes right back home. He was
Right.
outside for about 5 minutes.
Right, so this is the fence that we had a problem with last
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
You
so
were gonna make sure.
I did repair the fence, and he chased after a squirrel and bounced through the fence, so the fence went up like this, because it's an old fence on the Ketterman, the Triple K farm line. So I bolted that into the ground now with rebar, so he can't run through the bottom of the fence. But he was chasing after a squirrel, was outside for 5 minutes, came right back home.
Hmm.
Not like the other dogs that run up and down the street all day long on our road.
Yeah, look, Pam,
Yes, it's not running to this printer.
that's good.
You're right.
Tell me what, date, minute, date is what?
7:25.
Thank you. Got that down from
Yeah,
Okay.
the minutes, not on the agenda thing. Okey doke. So when last we met, back in July, we said if another incident happened, you'd be back here, right, which is why you're back here. And Don had some of the concerns. Did you find it, Don? Okay, good.
yeah, I got it.
So. Can you describe, the neighbor's reaction? I mean, did they feel
She was
threatened?
very
Did they feel
upset.
threatened?
Yes,
Yeah,
she
so-
was in the airport ready to go on a vacation and her husband and kids were home alone and she was very upset and nervous.
Mhm, mhm. And this is the same neighbor as last time
And the time before.
and the time before.
The same neighbor that just moved in there, doesn't like dogs and is scared of dogs and told me she was scared of dogs.
But and they didn't even physically see him. They
Yeah,
saw him
there's
on
a
the ring
picture on the
camera.
camera. It
This
ran
is, like,
out, it was out
irrelevant
there
to
for
me.
2 minutes.
Mhm.
She just doesn't like dogs and is scared of dogs.
Well, last time it's on the ring camera, she was out there and she was bringing the trash out. And she saw him and she threw the trash and he came flying after her and she got.
Of course,
back
if he
in the
starts,
house.
if he starts
But
running.
that was
Okay.
last time.
Well,
So
that-
this time we're being brought now before the board because she saw him on the ring camera twice.
More like because the
So-
dog got out and last time we left it, you were gonna repair the fence so the dog
did
wouldn't
repair
get
the
out.
fence,
and
I
that-
got that, but it didn't hold.
Yes, this is a
Right.
whole different part of the fence. It's not my fence.
not our
I
fence.
fixed the fence, so now that fence can't go like this.
I understand, but
Okay.
it is your responsibility to control the dog. So if it's not your fence, then you have to either put your own fence in or talk to that neighbor whose fence it is. You're saying triple K? or-
Yeah, but now Triple
or
K doesn't
Great
own it
Oaks.
anymore, now the golf course.
Great
Right,
Oaks.
So I don't
so,
even know
you
the
know,
doc-
they can, whatever, but it is your responsibility to control the dog
Correct.
with the fence. You repaired the first part,
Yes,
right? And is that first repair fairly secure?
Oh, yeah, nothing can get through that.
Okay. The part that the dog just went through, have you
I-
seen it yet?
no.
You haven't, okay. You're saying you've repaired?
yeah, so it's a 4-foot steel chain link fence.
Yeah,
And the bottom of it is the pole, they put the posts too far apart, they're
So
supposed to be
it's
10
bent
feet
out a
apart, so underneath, he was chasing after a squirrel, and it went up underneath like that, so I took pieces of rebar, smashed rebar into the ground, and so
Yeah,
now
okay.
there's extra fence
through,
posts.
through the things that,
Through the,
so,
I
yeah,
waved it through the
Right.
chain link,
Yeah.
and so now it's like, just like this, so now he can't.
Yeah.
He can't underneath that part of the fence.
right, so you dug it out, and if they do, they do.
Yeah.
Is that the most, not most, is that the only unsecure place that you saw?
Yeah, so yeah, and I do try to check the fence at least once a week to make sure there's nothing, trees fall down and
Right,
hit anything, so.
So is the whole backyard fenced?
Yeah.
And one part of it's K and used to be Kenny.
So the back perimeter of the fence is the triple K.
How about the sides of the fence?
One side is the Cheryl, the neighbor, which is a 3-foot black chain link fence, and the other side is mine, that is a 6-foot fence.
Chain link?
Yeah.
The dog ever gotten underneath those?
No, it's just, it was the backside, that's a old regular fence that I've been trying to repair. Cause that's a long fence, that fence goes all the way from the top of Raven Drive, all the way down to,
Yeah.
who knows how far it goes down.
Well,
So they have a lot of property back there.
yeah, the other direction goes all the way up to the back of my property.
oh,
Which
really?
is Oak Knoll.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for a second.
Go ahead.
The time the dog got out this time, was the dog unattended, or are you normally out there when the dog's out in the backyard on its own?
You were out there and I seen him run out that way, so he ran out and he went straight through the fence and then he came back out because the dog doesn't like to be left from by the house. He is like, he needs to be with me. So but he was on a squirrel, so he doesn't care about me when he's
So
chasing.
whenever the
squirrel.
dog goes out back, are you always,
Yeah,
with the dog, it's not unattended.
Especially since the last meeting, we don't let him out free and let him go out there anymore.
okay.
Does he respond to your command when he runs away? Probably not.
Oh, not when he's chasing a squirrel, unless I have
Hey, Bob's mic shut off and camera shut off.
Put them on speaker.
So is that?
Now we
is
need
that-
to record, you know, just
Is
to make
that,
sure
is
we're
that
clear.
because of the, what we posted up there?
No, I think, maybe the moving back and forth is definitely on, Bob.
You got the owl, yeah.
Yeah, do you have to
Mhm.
re-engage it? You
I
know,
think
choose
so.
a,
It's-
if it was, no, I mean, in the Zoom thing, you have to like choose it again.
Make sure the Zoom
I
mic
did,
Okay,
and camera
I just
are
did,
selected for the owl.
I did.
okay.
Everybody can look on the screen, see where it says owl? That's checked.
Okay.
Uh,
Greg, can you hear me or no?
Can you test your speaker and microphone? That's a thing. Wherever you.
Testing.
so it's lit up.
Test, no. All right,
No,
okay, we got it back. No, it's back. All right. All right, somebody will. I'm muted. Okay, everybody good? All right, so back to where we were now, technology is taken care of. Craig, do you have some more comments or? Craig,
Craig is.
Still no audio coming through. I don't know if you guys can hear me on your end.
Can hear you, can hear you.
so. Yes. Go ahead. Craig, do you have another comment?
He can't hear us.
I know, okay.
I sent you the text.
There. Bob, do you choose a different input device or no?
I think the,
Lower left of Zoom, make sure owl is the microphone
Right.
source.
there it is, owl, microphone.
Yeah.
And I've got
Okay,
it down
start
here for
talking,
speaker
I'll
as
see.
well.
No,
Okay, Thad says he can hear us. Thad, are you saying you can hear us right now?
yes, all good.
I can hear you now. It's just delayed on my end.
Okay, all right, Craig, do you have another question?
No, I was good with my questions.
Okay, thank you. Don?
The only question I asked is that part of the fence, was that the part of the fence where the dog
First
went
one?
over first time? And no, it wasn't.
Right,
I do fix that part there. And this particular time, this fence where it's fixed now isn't owned by you, it's owned by Kay and
Triple K, yeah.
the triple
Mhm,
Great Horse now.
mhm.
And in your portion of the fence is, so the rest of the yard is chain link on the one side,
Chain link both sides.
chain link to both
And
sides.
then the back is chain link also, but it's just old.
So the back is their part, the sides are your part?
Yeah.
Correct. Both sides are your part? or
The other
both
side
sides
is
are your
Cheryl's,
part?
the neighbor's part, but it's on our, it's
But whose fence is it?
her fence. But it's on our yard. They don't have it there.
No, fine, but unfortunately it'd be your responsibility because you have to contain the.
Yeah,
dog.
so I do,
You
I check that fence because she doesn't care about a fence. She had to put up and I take care of it, and make sure everything's.
Done. Yeah.
And no one was, no bite, the dog ran out, came back.
Yeah.
You've got a collar now for him?
Yeah, with a beeper collar, I got a remote, like
Yeah,
beeps, zaps and vibrates them in.
Okay, and you never leave them in the yard unless someone's out there.
Yes.
How are the kids, your kids with them?
Oh, they love their dog.
But I mean, do they?
They know the
yeah,
consequences
yeah.
at this point, you know.
Do they?
I don't have them,
My
I don't
kids-
have
my
them
kids wouldn't
responsible for the dog
Well,
outside
they're
by
responsible.
My
themselves.
kids wouldn't even change the litter box of the cat, so
and-
never mind. I'm wondering if they're responsible for the dog. you know?
Yeah, I mean, they are, but I don't let them just
How
watch the
old are
dog
they?
outside,
How old are
10 and 8.
they? Yeah. okay.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, okay. They're like teenagers that can
Right.
wrestle them back or anything like
Oh, they
that.
wrestle.
We don't want to be coming back every month. You know, you don't want a standing appointment here. We obviously don't want the neighbor to be, you know, upset every month as well. You know, they have a right to their home being. You did refer to other issues on the street. We're addressing those as well. But it's not two rights make a wrong.
Yeah,
Wrongs
absolutely.
Make a right, so everybody will get their turn at this table.
Yeah.
So. I'm looking for a solution that, it sounds like you're making an effort,
Yeah.
and we're, I think, cognizant of that. But I don't, it's not an open book, if you will. I think we have to say this is the end. If we're gonna get another call from neighbors again, another part of the fence goes down, it's not gonna end well. Okay? You have a responsibility for your neighbors, for your children, as well, and the safety of the dog. You don't want the dog to get out there and, oh my gosh, a car going down the street or something like that. You care about your animal.
Yeah.
So all those things have to be met. I think we have to not give you a pass, but ask you, again, Shelley's gonna go out and inspect the fence and report back to our board that the fence is repaired to the board's satisfaction.
And check, Shelley, check the collar and
Collar as
also
well.
the,
And let's
you can
look at-
see the certificate of completion and that
Correct.
stuff.
Correct. Okay,
Okay,
if that's all good, then we're done for now. Is that correct?
Yep,
with you?
yep,
Greg, what do you think? Did you hear all that? You're
Yeah, I
good?
did hear all that, like you were saying, it's the homeowner's responsibility or the pet owner's responsibility to make sure the dog is secure. I mean, we know it's an ongoing issue. I mean, like you said, we don't want them coming back. So if they have to have a leash on the dog in the yard just to ensure, and they're responsible training with the collar and everything. So like you said, we gotta make sure it's good.
Okay, thank you for coming
Thanks
down.
for coming on again. Thank you, Shelley.
Thanks, Shelley.
Have a nice evening.
You want to make an appointment, you said, for next week for another issue, we said? Okay, so put Shelley on for next week and she'll fill you in during the week on what's going on.
And she's already reported.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Scott, come right up.
I will, sir.
Wow. You don't have another phone?
Would you like me to have another one?
Look at this
Get
guy.
that fire out?
Earpiece.
Yeah, we just got back.
I was
He's ready to help.
driving by and the guy has got his bobcat out there lifting it up, dragging it across the lawn. I say, all you're doing is spreading it.
Yeah, we got it out. We're just filling up the trucks now.
In East Long Meadow, I hope.
We're using a little garden. That's true, yeah.
Hook right up, no, hook right up to there, whatever.
Chainsaw this morning.
So,
What's that?
Somebody was out there this morning with a chainsaw.
I don't, where the
Where?
fire was or the,
No,
oh, yeah, they're just doing equipment checks every morning. They go through the
I
equipment on
see,
each
okay, I
truck.
was wondering what were they doing?
Yeah, each day they have
He
a
ran the
truck to go.
thing, he had it running for a while, yeah.
Chief, thank you for coming in. Chief, thanks for coming
Did
in.
disturb your morning nap?
Well, the electric car is not used to any noise, this is the thing, yeah. So we have the new emergency management plan. And I think we have, is Scott involved with it? Is that why he's on?
So Scott is our coordinator from MEMA
Oh, sure.
that's involved in it. And this is, it might have been mistaken. It's a working document that I submitted to the board, just basically for review. So there are errors in it and it's not up to snuff yet.
Okay,
So I had submitted it to the board to get recommendations, ideas, thoughts, to have more eyes on it.
Yep.
Myself, Scott and Chief Pullen started working on it a while back. It's supposed to be, our plan is supposed to be updated, I think it's 5 or 6 years. If Scott can correct me on that.
Mhm.
And
Every
so-
5 years.
Every
Okay.
5 years. So it's our comprehensive emergency management plan that I submitted, and we're just diving into it. And me and Ed have met a few times. And I just forwarded it to the board for some more review, for some more eyes on it.
Okay.
And just kind of tell you as we're moving along. I think, Scott, if I'm correct, by the end of 2023, we should expect to have a new one in place. That is when you're supposed to have it in place for us.
We should have it done by then. What we're looking for right now is just to get everything in there that you as a community want in there, as your board, as your chiefs and your department heads need in that. And then once we get everything in there, then we'll do, you're gonna keep hearing about your data points in that document. That'll be the very last part of the document that we do. And those data points are the Excel spreadsheet. And I can spread that, but that'll be the last thing. But to answer your question directly, yes, by hopefully by June 2023, we should have that completed as a whole. So you'll have a complete done product.
I believe maybe Mr. Davenport had some questions on it, or,
I do.
Okay,
I as well.
Yeah.
So Scott, the list of people on page 5, that came from where? I mean, you have the treasurer, you have the collector, and they're part of the emergency management, and how would they relate to that?
Okay, so what is gonna happen, there's another document you're gonna hear that we're gonna work on right after this. And it's called the COOP plan, Continuity of Operations Plan. And what we noticed after the pandemic was that when that pandemic took place, there was a lot of communities that did not have working continuity of operation plans. When we get through and we get all the people that are organized on that one document, your comprehensive emergency management program, we are then going to do a continuity of operations plan for you. So that your treasurer, if that person's out, who takes after them? What's the continuity of operations? How are you going to function as a government if something happens? Where are you going to function? How is that going to be done? And, you know, a lot of this, I heard a lot of the smaller communities, because I got Western Mass, so I get it. And they're like, well, we've all done it this way for years. Normally, I wouldn't push you guys, but I have a feeling that the state and other agencies, especially in the feds, are putting emphasis on this. And I got a feeling they're going to hold us not responsible, but this is going to directly implicate how we get some of those grants. And they're going to want to know now when we file for some of these grants, do you have a COOP plan? Do you have a SEMP plan that's completed? Are those plans up to date? Have they been revisited?
So it's like those points you get back with some of the, oh my gosh, people familiar with some of the state programs, Commonwealth capital programs, et cetera, that if you have these things, it gets you points towards something else.
Exactly. And
Right.
one of the things they're talking about now is that, so you get your emergency management plan, your one of the grants we give out right now, they're saying, okay, well, let's give them more money if they did X, Y, and Z, or they had their SEMP plan complete, we'll give them a percentage more. If they have their COOP plan, we'll give them a percentage more. The reason I got involved with this, with at least my communities, was I understand that with Hampden's an exception. You guys got a great team, a great community, but we work with agencies or communities rather that are smaller than yours that really have nobody. You got one person doing 4 jobs. So we're really trying to help people as much as we can with that. And then we're going to come up with a rough working document, and together we'll have a finished product that everybody should agree on. It's going to look a little rough while it's a working document, but at the end of the day, when we all look at it, it should be something we can all agree on and that is going to go forward. And again, it's your document for your community, so nobody's going to dictate how you do it or what you want to put in there. Everything I'm doing for you is strictly just the foundation and a rough draft. Nothing's in concrete. If there's something in there you don't like, we can talk about it and change it.
Okay, so there's no drop dead date to get this done, except in our own mind, because you want it done before the next fall comes down the slot, basically. You want this in place before the other program, the COOPS program or something like that.
Correct. What we did is we've got most of our communities with the COOP plans just started. I think I did 3, and we're going to work on those next. We're trying to get this done first, but there is absolutely no drop dead date for this. This is your document at your pace.
Okay.
I work for you. You don't work for me. So you don't have to do any of this. So
I want to ask about that. When you say you work for us, and that certainly appreciated. Are you getting paid by us, or?
well, you pay state taxes, right?
Oh, God.
So as long as you're paying
You
your
have any
state
money
taxes,
left? I have no money left. You? Yeah, we pay taxes. Yeah. Okay, good.
Well, you're.
Huh? Stop. You're. You're. All
Hold my tongue, it's a public meeting.
right, thank you.
Page 2.
Oh, my God. We're going page by page?
No, I was working on it and
This
Mrs.
is a-
Davenport had another job for me to do, so that was the end of my reading. So,
This is a working document.
Let me just
I
text
understand.
let me just text and thank her for me.
I
Okay, yeah.
understand. So it says it's the same question all along. The comprehensive emergency plan for Hampden will become effective, considered upon approval signed by the Hampden, what? So we gotta put in by the Hampden what? Selectmen,
yeah,
fire chief,
who are you asking the question to, sir?
anybody that wants to answer. Go ahead.
Okay, so
Who
I'm just
generally,
just
who
looking
generally
for where that
signs
is.
off on approval and
Right.
implementation?
generally the select board, we had Board of Selectmen for years, but we've been changing that term, so we're leaving that up to the town to,
Okay.
if you want to be
Whatever
the
it is.
select board, it would be the
Mhm.
select board at the end of the day that signs that document, sir.
So
the process would
become a select board, of course.
Well, we know.
All right, so then on,
Their state has to do it.
this is just me being a nitpicker, which I'm very good at, page 8. It says the plan encompasses 4 phases, there's 3 listed. So we need to figure out what the 4th one is,
Secret.
all right? This is really,
And the list of people on page 5, again, we had some suggestions about who much should be included. You know, again, that was,
Absolutely. Remember, this is your document and you
Mhm.
can add, subtract any of this, any which way you want.
okay.
I
Super.
got a couple things I noticed in it too, if we're taking the time to look at stuff. Under, hang on, I gotta get to it. Under shelters, it says Hampden has designated 3 facilities that can be used to shelter evacuees. We only have 2 listed, the senior center and Green Meadows. Was TWB supposed to be the 3rd one listed there, or was that just dropped off on the list by mistake?
That'd be a question for
Yeah,
Chief.
I believe it was dropped off. It was dropped off. Yeah, yeah.
Because it's listed right before that as points of distribution as TWB. I didn't know if it was supposed to be carried down. It was just missed there.
So that's why we did submit it for review for the board, but I didn't know if you wanted to come before the town every time we do review or corrections on it, or if we just wanted to submit it to the board for your review and you come back to myself and Ed and we
Right.
put the document together.
I love editing.
Hmm?
As I'll tell you here, I love editing.
If, that's why I submitted it to you, sir, so you can.
A
You
couple
can
other
come
things
work
I
for us
noticed
then.
too was under communications, the frequencies for our departments are wrong.
Okay,
Fire department, police department, DPW are all the wrong frequencies. And I don't think we have an emergency management frequency radio.
No.
And that's listed there as well. So that's got to get updated.
this was a state model, Craig, that we were
Yep.
based off of, so I think it probably come off of the previous town comprehensive management plan, so there is definitely correction in ways to move, that's again
Okay.
why
I was wondering the, under facilities, like you got, there's like page 11 and 12, critical facilities and infrastructure, utilities and hazardous materials. We got 8 solar farms. Do they go in there? I mean, if there's a tornado or
Absolutely.
Yeah, we had talked about that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
because they have a lot of hazardous waste and that
Right.
could be dangerous, so. And then there's a few other grammatical errors, but we'll do
So
that
typically,
later on.
yeah. So typically, what's the next step? Do we bring this back to the suggested changes back to you, back to Scott? Do we set up a time where we all meet and discuss them separately, or how do you typically do it?
Typically, what we do is we would hand this to Scott, we come out with a rough draft, and then we give that to all the department heads that want to edit it. DPW, fire, police, select boards, treasurer, anybody who wants to look at it that the town deems necessary. Once we get all those edited or all those suggestions back, we'll edit that again, and then you can do it 2 ways. You can have one person that's sort of the gatekeeper of all those corrections, and then they'll send it back out. What I just did with another community is we all met together and I had one person typing and we just said, hey, let's correct page 8. And we went through that. And by the end of it, it took about 3 hours, but by the end of it, we had a completed document. It is totally up to you.
And so since we're at first blush right here, we probably should have all interested parties send suggested changes back to either Scott or
Yeah.
directly to you.
Directly to me would be fine, sure.
Either Scott, I should say, actually, So do you want Scott or Scott?
Scott, I would keep it within town.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
Keep it for
And
chief.
you? Good.
I have
And
2
so-
other questions though, if that's okay, on the document here itself, and maybe it can lead to some further elaboration. Under communications again, EOC communications, you list 2-way radios, which includes ham radio. And I was just wondering, do we have any resident involvement strategies in this document? So, ham radio operators in town could assist with any type of emergencies. I don't see anything other than that, just one call out there.
Is there anybody besides Mark that you're aware of in
Yeah,
town?
I only knew of Mark, right?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of ham radio operators in town. I think there's one in the office with you right there. John Plaster was one.
No,
Yes.
currently, or,
Oh, yes.
because I know Mark Casey and yourself, I know you talked about it the other meeting. I don't know if there's quite a few or.
There's a few others too.
Okay, good.
And then the only other question I had was towards the end of the document, EOC operational capabilities checklist. When it comes to food storage, it says there's no food storage, but an agreement with IGA Market. Was that in a reference to Village Mart? And
Yes.
now my question is, do we have the buy-in from the new owners with this plan as well? Because we want to make sure that they're on board as well, so they're not surprising if anything happens.
No, but we would have to get a buy-in from, yes.
Just something I saw at the end. Maybe we should double check.
IGA, what the one that was at the Nemo with that one?
Yeah, but Gary's was IGA.
Yeah, I think Gary's
Yeah.
happy. Yeah.
Okay. So again, we'll forward all suggestions back
Yes.
to Scott, work
Thank
it
you.
in, get a chance to read further. Great.
Looks good though, Scott.
Looks great. And the price is fantastic. I mean, that's the best one you brought forward, chief.
Wow, Ed. It's me and Ed, we did well.
That's our motto.
Thank you.
Look, if it's free, it's for me.
There you go.
Thank you, Scott.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you,
You guys have
Scott.
a great evening.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have both chiefs here. Anything new we need to discuss, or you're both good?
We're good. Good, sir?
They'll ask for money.
Yeah, true, yeah. All right, chief, keep it going. Looking
Trying.
good.
I don't know how much longer, but it's getting itchy.
Thank you. Hey, the garden club.
Select them. No. They all set. Hello.
Oh,
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
I forgot something. Did you want your, I have, yeah, their bags.
Oh.
No, I think.
what's the script? You brought us snacks? Get out of here.
Wishful thinking.
Really? No kidding, yeah. We have the candy from, I think it's this year's Halloween. It might be last year.
It was this year.
Okay, thank you.
Just get a tasket,
Thank you.
daffodil bulbs, because lots of other people in town are planting them. And I thought the selectmen really deserve these.
Sure.
And I don't know where Craig is, but I've got one.
Right
for
there with
Bob.
the camera.
You have to zoom it to
Hey, Craig. And Bob,
them. Thank you. I think we have. How many do we
No,
have?
I have Craig's. That's Craig. That's yours.
Yeah, okay.
Don't look at Craig's. He's-
I wouldn't say if you got more than I did.
no, they've all got the same. I can count to 10. There's 10 in every. Don't ask me to count it.
I hope there's instructions inside, not a
There
plant.
are
the root.
instructions inside.
So how can we help?
Okay. Who wants to, okay, the garden club does not have a key to the front door of Academy Hall. And since the police department lost the key, and it's very difficult to get a key there because you have to walk in, then you have to use the telephone. Then you have to wait for somebody to come, and it can be 10 or 15 minutes. And we thought, and half of the people in the garden club live on the east side. So it's difficult because they've got to go all the way over to the west side to get the key. And we would really like to have a key to the front door and a key to the garage door, so that we can get in the garage when we have things to bring out, like for a plant sale or something to put in. So that's our first thing. And because that's a responsibility to have the key. And written this up, and you can look at it if you have any suggestions on how it might be changed to make sure that things are done properly, that the building is opened correctly and closed correctly. And we're willing to change this, and it would have to be voted on by the garden club at our annual meeting, because it would change our bylaws slightly.
Thank you, Connie.
Yeah. So if you have any suggestions on changing them, you can, give us a call if you decide to give us the keys. That
Well, that's
would
the
be,
key now.
That's kind of a question, the Academy Hall is kind of under the purview of the Historical Society. So what do you want to use the building for, and what part of the building is unused? So that you can use it, or you're just talking like having meetings there,
well, we have had our meetings there,
right?
for a very, very long time. And
So is it just convenience in getting the key, basically, is the difference?
convenience in getting the key,
Mhm.
because, and the police department lost the key, so
Well,
that kind of,
since I was
think we just
involved,
leave it with Ginny, she lives next door.
but I think the process before has always been, you got it at the police
Sure.
department. And you sign the key out,
Like
last
using,
time
like
I-
using the gym or something
right,
like that.
and that
sure.
was fine.
Yeah.
The last time that I went to go get it,
Mhm.
they said that they don't have a dispatcher anymore, that they would not do that, and they had lost the key. So that's what precipitated this request, was that,
Sure are lucky that Scott already left, huh?
well, and the only, like, there's a key that I was able to get, we
Mhm.
could get from the selectmen's
Right.
office, but our meetings are at 6:30 at night.
Mhm.
So I think that having a key, and we have a designated officer that's responsible for hospitality that could hold that, be the keeper of the keys.
Mhm.
So I guess that would make it,
And the use of the building though there's no question about the use of the building, because you use it all the time now.
yeah, we use it.
So
and
whenever
we-
you had your meeting, you would just go get the key, you didn't have to check with anybody else
Well,
and say,
well, no, every year, the selectmen get a booklet, our meetings and whatever is going on, our members, everything is in the booklet, and Pam gets a copy of it. So she is aware of when our meetings are. And if we are going to have an event like we did in September in the auditorium,
mhm.
that can
Yeah.
be planned ahead, months ahead of time, so
Yeah.
that we don't
I will say,
interfere.
I've never seen that booklet. They're given to Pam.
Never seen what?
I don't think it's ever been distributed to
Well,
our
I-
board.
it's also,
Don.
we're also online.
No, it's not.
That's fine. So I'm not saying that's fine. But I know that we have restrictions on use during the winter or something like that. Do you typically
Right.
not meet during the winter? Or
No, we
have
do
your
not.
meetings here in the town hall if you need to?
We don't meet in the winter. We had our last meeting in Academy Hall was,
September 10th,
no, October,
October.
in October.
But don't you have planning meetings for, I mean, obviously,
Usually
your big
people's
thing,
homes.
when do you start the planning for Memorial Day? I would think, gosh,
Oh,
there's gotta be
we
months
just-
of planning, right?
That just goes on.
Oh, really? Just like that? Yeah.
We do have board meetings and some special meetings during the winter.
Mhm,
But our programs, which we hold in Academy Hall,
mhm.
don't start until April. So in April, we have, a meeting there, and then we have the plant sale
Mhm.
on Memorial Day.
Okay, we're concerned because, we saw an increase in electric, et cetera, working with historical as well to make sure that that's
You
properly
saw an
taken care of.
increase, really?
So,
We
Because
yeah.
we
did-
didn't have that many meetings this year at Academy Hall, so.
We
Mhm.
turned
I know,
on
it was
the
bad.
heat
Mhm.
in October. It was cold in there. I mean, it wasn't like it is tonight. I mean, we'd probably have the fans going
Sure.
if we were in there tonight.
Mhm.
But,
Okay. So it sounds like a good use as long as it can be, cooperative with the Historical Society as well. I mean, having open meetings to people is great. Good use and stuff like that.
everything is open.
When you
to
talk about the
public.
garage though, I'm not sure how much open space there is down below.
Well, we had always used the little room, that's on the east side.
Right,
You open the
yeah.
garage
'Cause the
door.
west
and
side
there's a
room is
little-
where the tank is now and the water district tank is on the west side.
Right,
Right.
right, but we had always used some space.
The back room by the
In that-
garage door, by
yes,
Bud's
yes.
area? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
So,
see there being a lot of space in that basement for gathering at all, though.
oh, it's
No,
not
for
a
storage, but I mean, I can't see a lot of space. Is the wagon still down there?
Yeah,
that's in the main part of the garage. This is just a little tiny room over on the side.
Mhm.
And because we've been using those tables, thanks to you, John, for coming up with the idea that the town needed more tables, and why didn't we just use those?
Mm.
We don't have those big, huge, heavy tables that we used
Right.
to put out for the plant sale.
Right.
So there isn't that much, but Ginny has accumulated a bunch of stuff. I have just a few things that are garden club.
Right.
It would be nice if they weren't in my house because they don't belong to me.
Yeah.
And a few other people have a small number of things,
Mhm.
not a big, they're not like big tables
Sure.
now because we don't have to
Yeah.
worry about that anymore.
But it would be nice to have space that
Some-
everyone could access, though.
Right.
If I kicked off.
Okay. That's okay. What I'd like to just make sure though, that this is an unused space. I'd like to, hear
Right.
from
Yeah.
Linda that, okay, yeah, we're all good. So perhaps there's an opportunity for, I don't know if it's Bob to meet with you or Jenny and Linda Kravitz at the same time, like, okay, we're all in agreement. This room right here, that's good for you guys and you
Or
can use
just
it,
a
whatever.
part of that room.
Exactly right.
Just,
So
Right.
I'm not saying tape it off, or everybody's on the same
Right.
page.
yeah,
Yep, we're good with this space.
okay, that's fine.
You don't want to put stuff in a closet and all of a sudden your brother says, whoa, that was my closet. And like, you don't want that type of thing. Not that's ever happened.
And the
so-
the
There's more?
third and final thing.
That's on tape. We heard that. Okay, that's
Right,
recorded.
final. Permission to hang the certificates that we received from the State House in the meeting room at Academy Hall.
They're not very historical. They're not very old. They're like a
Well,
month, 2 months.
That room was never used until recently for anything
The main room?
from the Historical Society. It was used by many groups in town. I believe right now it's only Garden Club and Historical Society that use it, but there were other groups that met there, showers were held there, bridal showers or whatever.
So Bob, you have the town
not part
hall
of
one
the
in your
museum?
office, right?
it's
Excuse
not
me?
part of the museum. I do.
Well,
main
it
room?
wasn't, but they have a bunch of stuff there now. In fact, it's getting hard to set up the 40 chairs that there are. 20 of them, the Historical Society bought and 20 Garden Club bought. And there's just enough room for those chairs now because it's just filling up with.
Yeah. I
all
don't know.
kinds
I
of
can't
stuff.
see using the main room for that. I could see the side room. Hate to say it, where as you go into the left leading to the stairs. Put it on the wall in there. But the main room is,
I don't think there's space where
There-
there's racks, there's a.
You mean
file
in
cabinet.
the coat
on the
room?
left side, the one where the stairs to the.
Oh, there's no
To
room
go
in
down,
there,
yeah.
John.
On the other hand, though, the certificates from the state would be historical in the sense that it celebrates their 90th year.
Which is not wicked old.
Huh?
They're only 2 months old.
I know,
Yeah.
but they celebrate.
You
their
sure you wouldn't
90th
rather
year.
just, if you want it for display for when you have an event there? I think it maybe should be mobile. Have an easel, put it out,
Well,
something.
then that means they've got to be stored in someone's home.
Oh, no, it could be stored in that side room there. Like they have all the old paintings of the selectmen, stuff like that. In that side room, there's plenty of room for storage there.
Well,
You're saying there's no
there-
wall space.
No,
No,
and the
there's no
storage there
place
isn't,
for
'cause
storage.
I was trying to put some of the stuff, that file cabinet is the
Mhm.
garden clubs in there, but there's stuff piled everywhere in there, so it's really
Yeah.
difficult to find space, which is why we were asking for maybe the downstairs.
Yeah.
The
I'm
basement
just-
is-
reserved on using the wall space for this, but I'm certainly, I think a display area, I'm happy to. I have easels, happy to donate an easel to it, and let's see if we can find a nice storage space for it. It can be put out when you have a meeting there. For right now. As an accommodation for right now, so we can get it done. Do you have it framed already?
One of them is already framed and the other one we just
I
voted
know
at
one
our,
came framed, yeah.
at our last meeting, to get that framed. We apportioned, some money to get that framed. I'm kind of disappointed that we wouldn't be able to hang it there because
Well,
I
again, I
think-
haven't seen the walls in a while to give you carte blanche to use the walls. I haven't seen them, so
well,
again, maybe this is another opportunity to go over and take a look.
that,
but I
that
don't
might
think it's
be a
right
good
to-
idea. And
yeah.
right now,
Don,
for,
when was the last time you saw the walls there? To say that, yeah, go ahead and do it.
Pretty.
You don't know.
Actually.
right?
So are we gonna have, you suggested a meeting also over there to, with Linda, right?
Right. Let's, Bob can set up some time when we can,
okay.
walk over and meet.
That would be good, and also. The garden club painting that belongs to the town of Hampden. It was accepted, I think you were a selectman then, John.
Mhm.
It wasn't too many years ago.
Nice shot right there, wasn't that nice?
Not that big. with
That
big,
great
that's big,
big
yeah.
garden.
Was that the one that Steve did?
painting, The one of him
That Steve
wanted
did,
in
right?
the office
Yes,
here.
no, the one
No.
with Phil Grant.
Yeah.
Oh,
Of the
sure,
garden.
sure, yeah.
Mhm. That right now is hanging in Academy Hall. However, that is not a good place for it. I think that it should be brought back and put in the same place that it was, which was in the glass cabinet.
Library.
At the entrance,
In-
at the entrance up there,
library.
sure.
I like
I
it
was-
for there.
Well, but it's not a good place for a painting because that building has no temperature and humidity control. This is not too much better, but it is
No,
better.
But I will
has-
say that painting there, it's one that should be viewed often.
It should
And that's
be.
why it'd be better here where people,
Yes,
especially with the use the library gets, where people would see it 5 days a week. So
Yeah.
That's something to talk about. So let's try and set a plan where we can, in the next week or so,
Right.
find a date to meet up with Linda over there.
that's
So we can
great.
find a way everybody is happy
Well, we got, why don't we,
during the day sometime. Not during our meeting, I'm sorry.
no. Can we move to approve the key?
Well, I'd like to also find out how the police lost. Maybe we should take the new key out of their budget, Don.
So,
But certainly a front door key is fine until we get an answer on the storage area. The garage key, I think, is off. Okay,
Okay,
get glad- So we're gonna get front door key,
for right now, yeah.
okay.
Two
front door
keys, one
key,
for you and one to replace the one that the police should have, obviously.
front
Pam
door
gets them
key.
from Ratcliffe.
Meeting with Bob and you guys and Linda about the space in the garage. And take a look at the walls,
Correct.
right?
Mhm.
Painting is
And-
gonna move back here.
Yeah.
Well, we have to check that with the library. Because
And
they
you're-
have
you're
control of that
talking about-
space up there to make sure they got opening for it.
I'm-
We're gonna recommend to them that,
I'm into
yeah.
making executive decisions.
I hear
The more
that.
candy I eat, the hyper, more hyper
I
I
see that.
get.
But I tell you, that painting will look great in your house too. So anyway, so
That's
check
why I'm
with-
trying to avoid moving it myself.
so check with
I'm sure it's.
Yeah,
still empty.
check with Ellen and see if we can work it into that. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna check with
Maybe
Ellen.
it's maybe like the White House, they rotate paintings in for the gallery every now, new administrations.
And when do we sit for our portraits?
You're gonna get a bronze equestrian out.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
We have our consultant for the municipal vulnerability
Okay,
in conjunction with this.
well, I just wanna make sure everyone's got the same thing. And get the
Do we need a
key.
motion, Don?
No, this is just, we're gonna send them off to meet with the.
Free to come,
Yeah.
key to the front door, meeting to see about the garage and the wall hanging
Right.
and the check with
Action plan.
library about moving the painting back here.
Yep. Okay, and so what about, happy with that? You don't want to keep for your house, Jenny? I mean, you're right there. for
Good.
crying out loud.
Is that good?
Not
Are we
taking
good?
it. No.
Okay, that's good, thank
That's
you.
fine. I think
Okay.
that works. I was hoping we could get this all
Well,
done
yeah.
tonight, but that's
If we
okay.
don't have all the parties here, it's not fair to
Yeah.
them too. You wouldn't like it the other way around. So if we made decisions that affected the
Well-
garden club without you being here.
That would be
So-
up to the selectmen. Whatever happens in that building is up to the selectmen.
I
That's a
understand that.
town-owned building.
I understand that, but again, we like to involve all parties. So MVP. We have
Steve
Steve on
Tyler's
line.
here,
Yeah.
our consultant, and
Thanks
wanted
for
to
the-
talk about a pollinator
Well-
garden in conjunction with the,
The garden's on
Garden
now,
club.
right?
Steve, are you on?
Yeah.
He was.
You want to flip around, you can see
Yeah,
Steve. on
now,
there.
right?
Steve? He was on,
He is
there he
there.
is.
Yep.
Hi, good evening.
Right.
So, good evening, select board members. Stephen Tyler, Howard Stein Hudson. I was here just to do kind of a presentation update of progress. I'm happy to cover any topic. I heard, Bob mention the location, one of the pollinator gardens. Do you want me to just kind of do a rundown of what tasks we have going on this year, and whatever questions you have, you can go from there.
I guess so. So Bob, who put Steve on the agenda?
I did, because I thought that there were some discussions with the garden club.
Nothing.
No.
I thought
Right.
MVP was most valuable player.
Person.
All right.
And you have that for lifetime, you know that.
I'm glad- I can address the garden club, so I didn't know if they had left at the end of the meeting. So with regard to the garden club, one of our tasks is public outreach. As far as conversations with the garden club, my understanding is, Mary Monahan, who was at your fall town meeting last week, at least had a short chat with, Mrs. Ziebert. And what we had talked about, that was an unplanned conversation. She just ran into him during your meeting. What we had talked about with regard to, this is a dual MVP. The town of Hampden and the town of East Longmeadow are under this project, and we're doing basically the same things in both towns. A part of that involves community outreach. And last spring, we had our community outreach event at the nursery in East Longmeadow. I'm sorry, the name's not popping in my mind.
Graziano.
Grazianos, thank you. So we had a day workshop there where we talked about plant species for the terms we use are green infrastructure and low impact design. And that's basically plants that are tolerant depending on what the environment is, whether it's salt, sun, shade, or any combination thereof, and picking plant species that can survive good in those situations and absorb water and treat water. So that's why we had picked Grazianos as our outreach. We have another outreach to do in this fiscal year. And we, through conversations with East Longmeadow, the Rotary Club and their garden club is interested in an event with them. And so what we were going to suggest and discuss in our meeting next week with the two communities is the possibility of the two garden clubs getting together and having this one big event that both garden clubs participate in. That way we reach more people with this one event. And so that's really the garden club potential involvement in a nutshell. It is with that community outreach event. And so that's all I have on that particular topic right now. And
The community outreach event, an educational event,
yes,
participatory in creating a garden. I guess I'm confused as to what.
yes, it's outreach and education with regard to the Massachusetts Vulnerability, MVP stands for Massachusetts Vulnerability Preparedness. And it's been ongoing for a year. And what that program does is it helps communities plan and deal with issues associated with weather changes and weather events, whether it be a storm or heat or fire, or making sure that your senior facilities or your emergency response facilities are properly addressed. It's whatever the needs of the town are. That's what the MVP program is. This MVP project for the two communities includes assessing 40 up to 30 culverts in each community, and which we have done. That's what we did in the last fiscal year. And we're going to come up with concepts for 10 culverts in each community. And we also, as part of that, identified locations for low impact design, green infrastructure gardens, where we're going to come up with concepts for green infrastructure to treat stormwater. And as part of that project, there is a community and outreach and education component that this community will do and we will participate in, and we're looking to involve the garden club. If you're not interested, that's fine. We'll move on and go somewhere else.
Steve, so you had an event in East Long Meadow maybe a month or so ago at Center Field also?
We did. We showed up because the planning department had something there, and so we just looked for that opportunity to be able to tell people in that community what the project was and what was ongoing. So it was a situation where, as you know, it's hard to get people to show up for public meetings, and that public meeting had a light turnout as well. But it was a topic that the community felt had a decent amount of interest, so we thought we might get more participation than we would if we had run the show all by ourselves. And we may still have. We only had about a half a dozen people showed up at that event, but conceivably had 0 show up. If
They
it
should have had them at the night out. Yeah. Should have had you at the night out in Hampden. That would have been a pretty good turnout for you. Yeah. So what's the next step then, Steve? I know this has been going on for a while and, you know, certainly a pretty high number. What do you need to bring this to the finish line? Just the community outreach part, pretty much?
Well, in this fiscal year, we're doing, we're developing some conceptual designs for green infrastructure at 2 locations in Hampden. One is at your Main Street Park, the Memorial Park, and one is on the east side of town over at Laughing Brook, the Mass Audubon Society. Then there's 8 other locations at different culverts and crossings and outfalls across town. The other thing we're working on is a resiliency study and findings and recommendations of all our inspections last year, and that's going to include capital planning on those 10 culverts and 10 LID locations. And then we'll do a bigger event that's going to happen, say like more of a town hall event. It could be paired up with the Board of Selectmen event. We haven't gotten to planning all these details. This is just a rough outline. That's going to be something that's next spring. And another deliverable is this public outreach and educational component, and that's just one of the tasks. With regard to assistance that we need, one is identifying that community outreach project and who we're going to work with on that. We already have some good ideas, and which I mentioned tonight with the combination Rotary and East Longmeadow Garden Club, which may or may not also involve the Hampden Garden Club. And then we have the end of year public review and comment meeting, which we're looking to likely happen in April or May of 2023.
Okay.
And the establishment of the pollinator gardens at Memorial Park along the stream, so that maximum number of people in town can see what it's like and be encouraged to do something on their own property.
Has Parks been notified about that yet or been involved with that?
I was gonna ask that. Yeah.
We were there with we didn't have anyone from the park department. No.
No, seriously, no. At Municipal, at Memorial Park,
Yes.
and parkland by state statute is solely under the control of the park commissioners.
Park Commission. Yeah.
And they haven't been involved in this yet?
I don't know that we've involved them yet. No.
Interesting.
Steve, how could the garden club, if they're interested, get a hold of you?
I can put my email in the chat. I can put my cell phone in the chat. They can reach me through Bob. I have Ted Zebert's email. I can reach out there. I'd rather not post my phone number on a public meeting, but I'm happy to put my email on the public meeting.
Just put your social security number up, we'll find it.
That'll be fine. Credit card, and don't forget the 3-digit code, please, as well.
Date of
Right.
expiration.
Is there any website or link that we could go in and just read to try to understand?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That would be appreciated. I know
yes.
for me, I'd like to
Yeah.
just
Sure.
understand a little bit
Can
more
give you
about
the
this
website
program.
address. Also, we had Mark at that session down at the Memorial Park. And Steve has been interacting with our highway superintendent perhaps more than any other public officials in town.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask?
Well, you guys had a big,
Steve?
big part tonight.
Well, what I'm thinking is we have our garden club sale on Memorial Day.
Mhm.
And it's the perfect time to get people interested in this because you're getting hundreds and hundreds of gardeners coming and buying plants. And we could have some display,
Sure.
we could even have plans for people if Steve could tell me, it seems to me that these are more water gardens than a pollinator garden.
Well, that's something. Can we take that discussion off here?
But
Now we have a chance for you all to reach out, have a further conversation.
And get more information.
Bob will get you, I know he has all of Steve's contact information. So Bob, sorry, for Steve, we'll give your contact information off camera to the garden club, okay? Through Bob.
I put him on the agenda primarily because he wanted to update the selectmen, but I said, let's do it when the
Mhm.
garden club is here.
Sure.
So that's
Well,
how we
good to
did
know.
it.
But I think Connie make a great point that next year, that event, great way to get the word out because, you know,
right,
you have hundreds of people going through.
We do.
and we could even label our plants,
Mhm.
this is good for a water garden,
Sure.
this is a good pollinator. Maybe
Mhm.
we can do something like that.
Okay. Greg, any comments?
That is all.
Hang on.
So I am put the link to the website into the chat and I am putting my email address into the chat right now. We're happy to communicate and work with the garden club, any of those ideas. What I can say about the Memorial Day event, I think from a project perspective, we certainly would have all the materials and boards ready that could be set out for informational purposes.
Mhm.
It might be tough to run that as our official public outreach event because it's the end of May and we're supposed to be wrapping up and doing our reporting at the very beginning of June.
Mm.
So we're really trying to finish things up earlier in May as it's a fiscal year closing window on it. But there's no doubt we can do something with that event. We can certainly, like I say, it would, for the purposes of the event, they wouldn't know the difference of whether or not it's a project deliverable or not, because they'd have all the information on the project. So please reach out. We're happy to work with you. And anytime the board or any others have any questions, I'm happy to come back. And thank you.
Virtually, of course.
Virtually and or in person, whatever it takes. I live in Spencer. It's not too bad for me. It's actually just under an hour for me to get there.
No, we certainly appreciate Mary coming to the town meeting. That was excellent to see her there. So. Great.
Very good.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
I don't know about that, but you can thank us. Sherry,
Thanks for the bulbs, Connie.
thank you
And
for the
all of
bulbs.
you.
Jen Day.
Jen,
Hi.
how are you?
Nice to meet you guys. Jen is our new VP of the Land Trust.
Really?
And
Wow.
so I'm just sort of want to give a heads up of what the next project is. John Mastriano reached out to us because there's 14 acres that abuts Minichog Mountain Conservation Land and has access down to the Scantic and
Off at the end of Hickory or
the end of Walnut.
Walnut and Hickory
Yeah.
there? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so Jen can give you all the details on it. But it ticks all the boxes in terms of the kinds of land we want to protect. We reached an agreement with the landowner for a purchase price of $59,000 for these 14 acres. And we've worked with town council based using an assessed value versus an appraised value on the land. And she said it's okay. And we have run it by CPC, and there's ample funds set aside that could be used for this if it's approved at town meeting next spring. So our purpose here is to come before you to give you a heads up that this is going to be coming at the town meeting in the spring. But the other thing is when we've learned painfully from past projects that when we reach an agreement with the landowner, it's good to get a signed purchase and sale agreement. We had a very unfortunate episode where we finally got town funds and we didn't have a signed purchase and sale, and the whole thing fell through because we couldn't put it together in time. When we got, I'm sorry, a state grant for it, and that we had to kiss it goodbye because we didn't have it that. So he's agreed to a purchase and sale. And in the past, when we've done purchase and sales, we have done it with the Minnetonka Land Trust, with the person, and then at the time, then transferring it over, which is sort of a cumbersome process. So we wanted to know if the selectmen would be willing to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with the landowner pending voter approval at the town meeting. And again, I've discussed this with Rose Crowley, and she felt that, you know, that would be a much easier and cleaner way to go if that's something that you were comfortable with doing.
The one thing that steps out to me, and I'll let Don speak
Yeah.
for himself, is that I don't know how the selectmen could, so to speak, put the town on the hook for money, even though it requires town meeting approval, without town meeting approval. That bothers me.
Well, I mean, the language in it says. that,
And
yeah.
I know that, but I
Yeah.
mean, the guy should trust us. I have a question. Is this land buildable?
Yes, I mean, it's,
So we're taking buildable land out of inventory.
well, yes and no. I mean, it's difficult to build, so he would have to. You know, so he claims he can. I mean, there's some issues.
We had sent the map of the actual parcel to Pam. I don't know if
She printed a copy out for it, yeah.
So, okay, so it would be, like Sherry said, it would be very difficult to gain access. There's no access from Walnut Road, actually, so he would have to get a right of way from one of the other landowners.
Well, there's frontage from Walnut Road, but not
very
quite
small.
enough so that he'd have to work with another landowner to get that. And then there's this whole thing about landlocked land and having
Right.
access, and, you know, he's sort of, you know,
Yeah.
making noise
I
about
mean,
getting it
it's- yeah, a
developed.
Copy of it here somewhere, but I don't know.
And there's portions of it that are very steep.
In the one.
So it's not something that you would want to develop, and it's something that lends itself much better for conservation land.
Mhm.
So,
It's on wooded marsh areas. It's about a 15 to, I'm sorry, I'm getting over laryngitis. It has about a 15 to 35% grade,
Mhm.
land grade to it. There, the majority of it is within the Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program.
Sure. Polygons
estimated-
there.
Yeah, those polygons, the
Mhm.
estimated habitats for
Right.
wildlife. It has about a 200-foot scenic riverfront frontage there as well for the town,
Okay,
which would gain access for the town's people to.
true,
access
but
the
also
riverfront.
then restricted going back from the riverfront as well for development there. Okay, all right. Oh, I see right
Yeah,
here.
you can
So,
see that.
so as Sherry says, it does touch the cul-de-sac there,
Yeah.
right? Now are you saying the lower left triangle is really the buildable area at the most? That little wedgy look thing?
So, yes, there was another map
There
that
is
showed
another
you the
one, yeah.
grade.
I think if I remember correctly, the first third of it's buildable. The 2/3 of it behind it are in the mountainside.
Just what
Yeah.
you're looking for.
Yes. thank
So
you.
the little leafy pattern is kind of
Yeah.
like buildable. Okay. But again, it's near the river, so that's restricted as well too.
Yes.
So it's a small envelope.
So it's
Yeah.
very small. It would be, you can see that green area there where the marsh is, and
Yep.
then all of the others riverfront area and, that, yeah, it's really all riverfront area, so.
Mhm.
it-
Okay.
like,
So I know there's been a conversation with Doug, 'cause Doug and I chatted about this, but there's been no formal CPA.
No, can't.
Action on this at all.
No,
We can't-
no, you can't, I mean, we would go before that, I mean, we'd submit a proposal and.
Right, we haven't had a meeting yet to discuss this.
Right,
I know
right,
that.
right, yeah,
As you said, though, there are certainly plenty of funds in the CPA, like CPA account, of which some are accessible for open space acquisition.
yeah,
I'm not quite sure. I really would have to hear more that I'm comfortable in my own way with putting the selectmen out on the purchase and sale. At this point,
Well, you
I'm hesitant.
talked to Rose, right? Did she give you a written?
Yeah, we have emails. that
yeah,
I can absolutely forward you.
yeah, we have emails, but they were more related to the, I mean, some of it was
It
conversation.
was about the
with her.
valuation you were saying.
Yeah, that was about the
I thought, yeah.
valuation.
Yeah.
not
I'm just
much.
interested in her saying that.
Yeah, we can put ourselves out for that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so I
I'd
think
I'd
you
like
should-
to get her
yeah.
clarify that.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise we'll do it the old fashioned way, which is that we would have to do the purchase and sale and then flip it over.
And it's not that far away. I hate to say it, we're already in November. You know,
Yeah.
we're gonna be putting the warrant together for the town meeting in February.
Yeah,
CPA will have the meeting. If perhaps Bob could reach out to Rose and get some on that, but I'm just
okay,
hesitant. I don't mean
yeah,
to
yeah.
work you all
Yeah,
to put into it, but it's
Yeah,
just,
no, I know. I just, that's why I'm throwing it out there because I was just trying to do it in a way that,
Yeah.
that worked more
I would
smoothly.
just like to see what she says
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
a little less. I mean, if it was down a little bit, Don would write a check right now and we'd be all set.
I've written plenty of checks to these people.
So, thank you, Don. So,
I guess I'm just uncomfortable with the perception part of entering into agreement without town approval too, so.
definitely, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all
Let's see what
right.
Rose has to say.
Well, hear what she has to say, and then if not, then we'll just do it the way, and we'll just talk with her about flipping it back. to
Right.
you.
But in talking to Doug and as representative of the CPC, it's
Yeah.
certainly prime acquisition land for the CPC to participate with the
Yes.
land trust as well.
Yes,
So,
yes.
and it expands the footprint. It's contiguous. It's
Yeah,
appropriate for
yeah,
it,
I mean,
right.
it checks every single box of what
And
kind of land we would want.
My
to-
question tonight was about the development part, which
Yeah.
you answered very well, and thank you for that, because I don't want to take buildable land out of the equation. There's not
Yeah.
much more of it.
Yeah.
You know, they don't make any more. So the fact that you said this isn't really diminishing taxable land per se
Yeah,
means a lot. So,
Yeah.
all right,
If we could set up a time to come in and I'll make the call to town council and you can listen. You can hear,
sure,
you can hear the
Sure.
comments.
Tuesdays are usually best for me.
Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday I can make work.
Okay, so
Right.
Tuesday in the morning
Tuesday morning.
sometime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
If I had a second to digress, if it's not, I can't.
oh, of course, Sherry,
Okay.
you go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to get back to you on the stump grinding, because you had said last time I met before you to not do it, and I was I had raced in there from work and
Yep.
was a little, kind of, taken off, and one thing that I didn't say, and which was very important, is that these were in the 20 years since we acquired it, all these little narrow poplar trees popped up, because that used to be a big field, if you
Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
So all these skinny trees popped up, they were falling in the road. So when they cut it all down, what we're left with were like spikes sticking out of the
Sure.
ground. And I had been impaled, I had actually tripped over and gotten
Mhm.
impaled on them. And so when it comes to conservation land, and we're always talking about liability,
Mhm.
If people are hiking, there's no liability unless there's a known hazard. And if somebody gets injured, then both the town can be sued as well as board members of the land trust.
But what spoke to me about that, and your
Yeah.
point is well taken, is that we talked about the clearing before because it was affecting the public way and
Yeah.
that travel area.
Yeah.
So the stumps to it do not affect the public way. It's not in the driving area. It's not in the parking. That way, in my mind, it was a separate appropriation.
I see.
And that's how I saw it, because we supported you before and again with the extra
Yeah.
money because people were in danger driving or parking.
Yeah.
And this, I don't want to say it's aesthetic, but it's outside of the
Well-
public way part, and I think it should be, that's why it's a separate thing.
Okay.
Rather
well-
than part of it.
well,
Bring it
so-
back in the spring.
Yeah, so I'm
That's all
gonna
we're
bring
saying.
it back in the spring, but because it's like, there's you park the car, and
Mhm.
if a child ran out of the car on the driver's side and ran towards the wall, they could easily get hurt. So we made a decision at the board meeting, even though you said you weren't comfortable and to wait till basically next year to do it.
Mhm.
We felt liability wise, if somebody gets injured, this is a known hazard. We know about it. So we did go ahead. We got the Stubbs ground, so we're gonna come back
Or
for a
reimbursement.
reimbursement in the Springtown meeting, just because we felt that it was just a potential liability that
Mhm.
nobody was willing to take.
Obviously, the problem is, we said this before, we can't go for a CPC because it's maintenance.
right.
It doesn't qualify.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, again, we'll take care of everything
Sure.
once the trails hit, but the general parking area,
Mhm.
you know, we could definitely appreciate help with that.
Well, I certainly deserve it because you
Yeah.
guys do such a great,
Yeah, it's been-
you all do such a great job for, taking care of, a huge amount of land.
Yeah.
What's happening on North Road at this point?
Well, I think.
Not
we-
to digress into something else, but.
Well, we've got all the approvals
Mhm.
and I think they're just waiting for people to do the construction. Judy's kind of handling
Is it?
that and
Okay.
working with getting estimates to now start getting that. And then that would be really nice. Have you ever hiked up there? It's
It
so
took so
gorgeous.
long. I remember the probate thing that just dragged it out for how long? Oh, that was before your time. I mean, that was a story in itself. Jeez.
Yeah, so anyhow,
Yeah.
so we have that and, it's just a gorgeous hike if you ever go up there.
Well,
and
all
look
of
around.
North Road is,
Yeah.
Sherry, sorry.
I
It's
know,
so much
I
better
know.
than
Oh,
South Road.
I know.
Yeah.
But when you get to the top there, it's really spectacular. I love it up there.
Thank you. Craig, anything?
Oh,
Craig also feels North Road is the right road, but that's fine.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you very
And
much.
we'll hear from you about talking with Rose, but otherwise we'll just do it the old fashioned way.
I got this. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock,
Sure, it's gonna be real short.
I think so.
Okay, yeah, I just have to be back for. All right,
You can vote at the same time. It's perfect.
I voted a
Right.
long time ago.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
All right, thank you both.
Thank you.
Okay, I heard from Rick that the land discussion is off till next week. Okay. Summers Road sidewalk. Why are you here?
I'm just an innocent bystander.
I'll go with one of those.
Background is that the Department of Revenue gave the town $25,000 to do a design, a sidewalk design, specifically on Summers Road and Allen Street. And when I came here, the selectmen had asked me to be in touch with the DOR, and they were more interested in having design done on Main Street sidewalk. The DOR said no, either do the design where you said you were going to, or else give us the money back. So Ty and Bond were retained for, I think, 21,000 to do the design, which selectmen have, and there were two options. Fundamentally, or basically on both sides of Allen and Summers Road. And I think the question is, does it make sense to go forward and construct a sidewalk or not? So the cost estimated at the time is $341,000. We don't have that kind of money, but I think it's clear that the gaming commission would entertain another request for that kind of spending. So I have discussed it with them a while back, but as I've mentioned before, they have an abundance of funding at this point and are interested in funding projects in those communities that were in some way impacted by the casino downtown.
So I guess part of the question is, are we making a decision for the town that the town's not invested in? I will say, reporting back from the housing authority meetings, that they don't think there's a much participation in their populace, if you will, or any interest in them walking down to the senior center.
Yeah.
So it's not a travel route for them per se. They are very happy that the crosswalk is going in. That's terrific. Obviously, I think there may be a bit of an issue with getting around the business district because you have some businesses with not much frontage
Right.
on the west side of the road for a sidewalk. So we have to pick one of the two plans or a combination of both. But again, it goes back to, are we doing something that we think is doable, or is it something the town is really invested in? Heck, I've heard for years that they'd like a sidewalk on Raymond Drive to make it safer for people. Pam gets calls like that all the time. That's a dangerous area for people walking. So are we picking the right place?
Well, I certainly think, I would agree that on the west side, there are a number of businesses which have cars coming in and out, driving in and out, and I think it'd be particularly hazardous to have a sidewalk on the west side.
And then you just have to cross at the senior center at the busiest part of Allen Street.
Yeah.
So that's a thing.
So what are you suggesting?
Me?
Yeah,
I'd like to know that we're doing something that the town's interested in.
and how will we
You know,
get to know that?
That's a very good question. I think, we have media for that type of thing. Either we put it out on Facebook, we put it out on the town website, we put it out in the Scribe, which goes to every person in town. I don't think we're taking enough advantage of the Scribe's outreach, if you will, because everybody gets one. But I'd like to know, I do appreciate Bob's effort. He has a great relationship with Mary down at the Gaming Commission. And if they're gonna say, well, gosh, we'll write you a check for, it'll probably be 500,000 by the time you build it,
I think so.
for sure.
That's fair.
And then we're talking asphalt, not concrete at that
Yeah.
point either. We have a challenge with a wetland area if we go down the east side across from Mountain View. That can be surmounted. But Don, is this something we should get a full price on, get an RFQ, get a costing, and then bring it to town meeting next year to see if it's to go ahead? Even if we're not borrowing the money, we should get, because there's gonna be possibly some land taking too.
Yeah.
And that's an interest, do we go forward? I think it's worth pursuing. I'd just like to know that we're doing it because
Well,
it's.
why don't we start with a survey? Why don't we just put a simple survey on the website and in the Scribe and that say,
Mhm.
are you interested in a sidewalk from the senior center to
Basically, the business district.
through the
basically.
business
Yeah,
district?
right. We're fortunate we have Sarah here who's gonna write front page. Front page.
That is a big one.
Above the pole.
The full, thank you. All right, Dave here sells with that expression.
I think it
The
would
next
be,
step would be to assess whether the public would want this. And at some point, bring in the town meeting in the spring, because the reason I wanted to bring it back is that there's a new round opening up for gaming commission money. We're certainly going to pursue some funding for police. And just wanted to know if you want to do anything else.
Okay.
So
here's my concern, that if we wait too long, we're not going to be able to get that money from the casino mitigation fund. Is there anything in that casino mitigation fund that says if we decide to do that, or we ask for the money and then we decide not to use it, is there any penalties? Would they just take it back at that point? Could we use it for something else?
I mean, that would be another option. We could request the money based upon, we'd have to get some additional estimates. Given the price of this, we'd have to advertise it. Get some estimates and then request funding. And at some point, if the public or the selectmen decided not to go forward, not take the money. So
That would be my suggestion, because we don't know. I mean, Bob said the new round of funding is going to be coming out in January or February-ish, I think.
Actually, a new round is going to start this month. And chances are the decisions are going to be sometime early in the next year.
So my thought is if we wait too long, we'll just miss out and then we won't have the opportunity whether we wanted to or not. If we were to go through, I mean, how hard would it be to reach back out to Ty and Bond and just say, hey, you know, what does your updated pricing look like on this? I can't see them charging us a ton just to revise the pricing on that report. And then like you were saying, put it out to RFQ to see what the actual price is going to be. And then we have an idea, and then we can go to the casino mitigation fund, see if the funds are available, and then go down that route. If they're available, that's great. If they're not available, then it's dead in the water.
But
But
it's still doing a survey at the same time.
Right. I don't
Exactly,
require
yeah.
I don't require being that specific before. When Vinny and I went down before the gaming commission in 15, maybe, well, 2015, we applied for the secondary distribution. And they said, okay, what are you gonna use it for? We said along the corridor, we had to show the map of projected travel routes to the casino. But we didn't have to be specific on what we would do along the corridor. I don't know if that's changed now. And then we applied every year and they finally kicked in, finally said, okay, here you get 100,000 for mitigation.
Right, yeah.
But again, it
getting
was
more
100,000 to
Yeah.
use in any way we wish, which
It's
was the
getting more
traffic sign.
formalized now, well, we would have to
Have a
submit an
purpose first.
application with a specific project.
Mhm,
It then goes before a committee,
mhm.
and then they would approve or disapprove.
Okay, so not just here's a satchel of money, use it as you wish.
No, I think.
What's
that-
happened to Boston? It
I
used to be so much easier.
It used-
What happened to Don when you were there? Jeez.
30 years of it.
Must know somebody still. All right, so again, a survey,
Right, so
I think
that's
it's worth
going
pursuing. Craig, I think your point's 100% right. There's no reason if they have an Excel spreadsheet on the costs, they can't just update the cells that have
Right.
gone up. Right,
Right, and then we would have that hard number that Bob can go back to the mitigation fund and say, this is what our project looks like, this is what the proposal is.
Mhm.
Let's get us in
Sounds
there.
like a
Right.
plan.
right,
That's what
okay.
we're- All right.
All right, we have a letter from the school committee saying they're looking for the next step for the strategic plan. Basically, the plan called for a creation of a planning committee appointed by the school committee and the select boards. The planning committee has an important role in gathering feedback from the communities served by the district and reviewing the regional agreement. At the October 6th meeting, the school committee voted to appoint Chair Boudreau and member Sean Kennedy to the planning committee. They're inviting us to appoint members to the planning committee through a process appropriate to our respective rules for procedures. Typically, our board would advertise in various fashions for people to submit letters of interest. This goes right along what our board's been done for years. We need more people participating in the process. You can't sit on the sidelines and bark about it if you're not willing to step up, if you have time to commit. So we're going to put it out there that people are interested in being the board's rep, and it doesn't mean just one. If you see there, we could appoint several individuals.
Yeah, they just
Yeah.
don't want to make it a
Right.
huge committee.
You're exactly right. So
It says,
please-
though, let's limit the appointees, though.
Exactly right. We're not going to send 10, but if it's 2, that's great too. So we're going to put the document that invited it on the town website, Bob.
Okay.
So people have a sense of what the invitation is. And a link to what the approved strategic plan was as well, which should be on the school website. Greg, it is, right?
It should be. I have a copy. If not, we can scan it and throw it up on our website if we want to.
I would hope that
I would hope they have it up by
incredible
now, yeah.
Well, that incredible website that they have. Yeah, maybe get them some funds too. And improve that website. I'm sorry, was that an open session? Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Don.
You recorded.
Took the words out of your mouth. I'm sure. No, I mean, and they acknowledge it too. Their website needs work. It really does.
It needs a
So-
lot of work.
Yes, it does. I mean, it's got the Lauren Epsom parts in it where they haven't filled in the text. Incredible. So is that the proper
Yeah.
procedure?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right.
What else you got?
I don't know. I'm not sure Cindy's here.
I volunteer.
Okay.
Is that why you were here or just,
Partially, but also just to, I've never been to one and I'm very interested and
Exciting, huh?
yeah, it is. And
Okay,
also like to submit something to be on the agenda for next week.
okay,
Go to Pam. That is approved by you.
okay, what?
It's in regards to the 530 Glendale.
In front of the selectmen?
Yeah.
Okay, well, throw it to Pam and we'll take a look and see if we can put it on the agenda.
Okay.
Great.
I did, and she was gonna talk to you and
Okay, doke. Great.
Good,
All right, so we haven't done any of that yet. So, all right. Is there any correspondence besides the strategic plan thing?
You've got a couple of things in that folder to your right, but other correspondence?
Right.
No.
Okay. All right, so we have a couple of permits to sign. We need a common vic license. Thank you. We have trouble, thank you. We have trouble going with Vic Chuler, whatever it is. Thank you. For the Village Food Mart. And I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move we approve a common viticulator's license.
That's not it.
Well, the food thing, the selling food thing to, for the Village Mart.
All right.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Common Vic. Thank you. Let's see, we have the grant for 75,000 for the master plan from DHCD. And they're looking for signature by the board chair.
Yes.
That's you.
Yes, I know. I think the formality, but maybe.
It is, that's all.
All right, fine, that's signed.
We put in all the other paperwork.
Okay. National Grid is looking for an easement for their overhead system. And my suggestion was just to make sure that the other two lessees up there are comfortable with what they're doing. So run it by Amoresco and the tower people as well, to make sure it doesn't interfere with anything they're working on. And I know that Amoresco, by the way, is starting operations up there, and they are coordinating with the Board of Health through Craig, through Jane, with the Highway Department as well. And I believe they're even starting tomorrow, correct?
Mhm.
But they know we have enforced it upon them that no operations during the transportation time.
Yeah.
So the transfer station is open 12 to 4 on Tuesdays and on Saturdays. Again, that travel lane is to be left open only for Hamlet
Yeah,
residents.
they said Saturday won't be an issue and Tuesday they'll accommodate.
So that'll all be run through Jane and Craig. All right, as a reminder, we have the tax classification hearing on November 21st. We're good. And next week did you hear back from assessors and Dick on
I
the
did from both of
tax
them, and
write-off?
they're both good with senior tax workout program.
Okay,
I have information on that tonight.
yeah, typically we have Becky online, like putting it forward. So,
She sent an email this afternoon, which I partially reprinted,
okay,
so.
all right, let's kick over to the town administrator report.
So there are two reports. And you would ask for an update on Tecton. So there.
How much paper we're saving because Craig's not here. This is great.
The work begins, I talked to Jeff McElravy today. And the work starts on the 9th. According to that plan, they will meet initially with the fire department staff and then go from there. Their timetable and their plan is listed there on the Tecton printout. So they're underway. They're going to be underway. Secondly, Becky did send a message today asking that I put into my report if they would like this, that she would like the Board of Selectmen to approve the tax work-off program for this fiscal year. Right now, she has 6 positions at the senior center and 1 at the library. And she points out that the town has previously approved 10 positions. And that positions were created for the Cemetery Commission, Fire Department, and the Highway Department. These could not be filled in 22, but she's hopeful that they will be able to do some filling in these departments in the current year. So she's asking for 10. We want to delay, and there's no hurry on this, if you want to delay and have her address the board, we can do that next.
If we could, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
The town managers and administrators in our region have decided to have monthly gatherings at lunch to exchange information and discuss common issues. This is done in other counties in Massachusetts. And when I was in Essex County, we did it monthly. And I found it always very interesting and useful. You get to learn what kind of issues other communities in your region are dealing with. Sometimes you get to learn what their solutions are, and so you avoid reinventing the wheel. Our first session is going to be on December 9th in Palmer.
Mhm.
The second development coordinating meeting, this was the one requested by the Board of Assessors, took place on November the 1st, and we have a plan to go forward. There's a webinar.
What's the development?
In other words, we would coordinate with all those departments that are
The
involved with.
checklist, you mean?
Yeah,
The checklist.
basically, it's a checklist system. Which we'll put online, so that if you want to know what's going on with a solar project, you can look online and see which boards or committees they've appeared before and which ones remain. So webinar tomorrow on Audio Eye. This would make the town website fully handicapped accessible. And I discussed this with the board previously. If it looks good, I think we'll probably try to do that. Fiber Optic Committee met with Whip City Fiber on November the 2nd. And I will be attending with Grace, a meeting with Grace Barone of the east of the river, east of the Connecticut River 5, Chamber of Commerce, to discuss Pike Hampden and the involvement of local businesses.
Okay, when is that meeting? I think the board should be represented in something
I
like
was
that.
gonna
rather
go to
than-
that
Yeah,
anyway.
so.
I think
it was
Not that, but I mean, this is.
no,
Yeah.
it was Selectmen Davenport initiative, and so I sent out a message to you late this
Yeah,
afternoon.
I responded to it.
Okay, all right.
Did I get it? Or just to you?
You probably just sent it to me.
Oh,
It's next week. Next week.
Um,
Next Tuesday or Wednesday or something
Yeah.
like that. Anyhow, what the proposal is, I don't know if we talked about it at all. I thought to myself that we have these great hiking trails in Hampden between the Audubon Society, Minnetonka Mountain, and the things that we've done. That and great views and all that type of thing. And it might be an opportunity for us to put together some kind of program in the spring or in the fall, even in October. Particularly probably in October, because we had so many activities. We had the artist thing in the senior center and the spectacular and that type of thing. And have a hike Hampden that would help our local artisans and people with home occupations to maybe be able to show their wares, have something at town hall and that. We have people who are doing baked goods and doing cakes and doing we got the alpaca farm, we got the maple syrup people. And it might be an opportunity to create some economic development and traffic. So we thought we'd reach out to the east of the river Chamber of Commerce and see how they could help us to propose that. That's what that's about.
no, first, yeah.
I had a conversation with the moderator, Rick Green. And he said that several years ago, they had actually been able to get funding to put a bridge over the Scantic, right where the former Cumberland Farms is. So,
Right, but that was when the park was planned and it fell through.
let me just finish here. The Tie and Bond kicked off their study of Town Hall on the 3rd, with a meeting with town officials and a tour of the building. The shared conservation agent is going forward. We're looking now for approval by the Ludlow Board of Selectmen. We've met on the 26th and the 31st of October, and it looks positive so far. I'm not bringing the IMA to the Board of Selectmen here. until we can make sure that it's the final. You've seen it before, only it was involved other communities.
Right.
$75,000 contract for the one-stop program to underwrite the update of the master plan has arrived, and Selectman Flynn has it. I've also kept the planning board up to date on this. And they do have some estimates. And I think based on prices around the region, it's not going to be enough. They're going to have to ask the town for some additional funding. But this will be a good start. Chances are it's going to run in the range of 6 figures. But I had a discussion today, again, with a member of the board. And that's it.
Okay. Any other business before the board, Craig?
Parks and Rec's got a meeting tomorrow, and I updated the town website with the emergency notification portal on the main page. So if people wanted to sign up for the Blackboard Connect, they could do that right from the main page.
Thank you.
Conservation Commission met last week and they finalized the delineation of the wetlands for 530 Glendale Road. So.
And we certainly appreciate the public participation in this, and we commend the Conservation Commission on their excellent communication with the public. I think
Did a nice job.
they've done a nice job, and I think it's really helped people. They feel like it's transparent, it's open, and people are kept in the loop, and the way it should be. Not like us building a sidewalk when nobody asked.
And they record their meetings.
Yeah.
And they post them.
Anything else?
I'm good. Anybody in the audience? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
We're out of here.
We have a delay here. All in favor?
Aye.